Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Our Michigan Wolverines holding an absolutely massive recruiting weekend with a ton of high school prospects coming in this weekend. Going to be talking about some of the players and then some of the momentum and traction that Michigan is getting in this 2024 class, and then taking a look at the future outlook of this program. But again, before we do, I just want to say thank you to you guys, especially the Michigan fans. Like, it's there's nothing more my brother and I like talking about than Michigan football, and you guys have been absolutely awesome with the support. We love chopping it up with you guys in the comment section as well. So the support means a lot. If you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Dill, let's start with the most important player that's coming to Ann Arbor this weekend, and that is five-star quarterback from North Carolina, Jaden Davis. I think the big storyline here is how good of a job Kurt Campbell, our new quarterbacks coach, has just picked up this recruitment from Matt Weiss, who was kind of the primary recruiter for Jaden Davis, and seemingly kind of like patched up that trust. And Jaden Davis is kind of the crown jewel of this 2024 class here.
And just to expand on what Jaden Davis feels like it means for Michigan, and I'm not a big make or break recruiting battle guy. Like, oh, we didn't get this recruiting battle, the program's done. And I do think a lot of college fans kind of live and die with the recruiting, and
Including
every
me
battle breaks them, and they get really negative when they don't go their way. You can see that in the comments that people make under guys' posts, which are ridiculous.
Wild.
But I do think Jaden Davis is pretty important right now, just because, again, you got two guys from the state with CJ Carr and Dante Moore both choosing to go elsewhere in the 23 and 24 class.
And we've kind of prioritized Jaden Davis. I think that's a large reason why a guy like CJ Carr didn't come to Michigan, because I think he got the vibe that Jaden Davis was the guy in the 2024 class. And you look at the quarterback situation in the long run. JJ McCarthy's heading into his third year. And if he goes to the draft after 3 years, I would love it. You know what that means? We probably won a national title. And so I'm not complaining at all about that. But JJ McCarthy also seems like a guy, especially with the NIL money he is making in Ann Arbor, that he could stay for 4 years. And I think that would just give us a perfect runway to get Jaden Davis in here, right? You get his commitment. He comes in next year, and he learns under JJ McCarthy 1 year. And then you have another ultra talented five-star quarterback that's ready to take it up as a second-year dude in Michigan.
Exactly. It is like, again, they haven't brought in a guy really since JJ McCarthy who's looks to be the corners or the face of the franchise, if you will, the face of the program. So this 24 does matter, because for sure JJ, he might be in a position to leave after this year, and it certainly is going to be probably out by the end of next year.
Yeah.
They do need to get their guy. They need the guy ready to. I think that, again, this is why I say, when I don't usually think of recruiting battles as like the end all be all, but this one, considering they've been recruiting him hard for 2 years now, and I think they do.
And we were so close to locking him up, and then Jim starts kicking around the NFL again. He backs off a little bit, goes out and visits Clemson, goes to Tennessee, and you don't blame the kid at all, right? Especially if you're a quarterback, you're committing to Jim Harbaugh as your coach. If you're coming to Michigan, that's who you're committing to. And so Jim being there for an extended period of time means a lot in your commitment. Jim now seemingly locked into Michigan, and we'll see. That helps Jaden Davis's recruitment. And then it seems like this is a really big meeting with him and Kurt Campbell, who JJ McCarthy has spoke really favorably of. And then it's going to be a good opportunity for Jaden Davis to see how Kurt Campbell runs the show with that quarterback room. And one other thing I want to note, and I think it's just so important, kind of underthought about, is how important it is to get that face of your class in that quarterback room. You saw like Arch Manning. When Arch Manning commits to Texas in that 2023 class, a lot of guys look at Arch Manning and say, I want to go play with a stud quarterback, especially if you're a wide receiver or running back, where you want to play within a good offense. You want to have an elite quarterback throwing you the football. That helps the recruiting at all positions, but especially wide receiver, which is another position that Michigan, if you look at the positions Michigan has struggled getting elite talent in, it's that quarterback spot previous to JJ McCarthy and that wide receiver spot. If you land Jaden Davis, other top wide receivers that he's playing 7-on-7 with are picking up the phone if Jaden Davis wants to give them a little recruiting pitch to come to Ann Arbor.
Yeah, 100%. And that is like, at the end of the day, you need a quarterback to win. If you think you're gonna win at Michigan, he's probably gonna be a big part of it. And just to like now get into the other guys. I mean, you got Dylan Stewart, Jordan Marshall, Prescorn. Like these guys are gonna want to win national titles. That's probably why Michigan's starting to get a little heat on the trail, like more so than they had. And obviously they were able to win with recruiting classes that a lot of people in the national media and so forth would have thought these aren't the classes you need to go win a Big Ten title and beat Ohio State. But they were doing it. Now you see 2 years where you got guys who are developing into first round picks and playing really good football and winning a lot and the program's getting behind them, which no doubt helps for NIL. So I think now when if these guys can see a quarterback for their future and who they can win with, I think that again just matters so much, even the guys on the other side of the ball and offensive line and everyone else.
And one thing worth noting is last weekend, Michigan also had a very big weekend recruiting, excuse me, and had two of the receivers that Jaden Davis is throwing the ball to at Providence Day up there. So like Jaden Davis and his wide receivers, like that's kind of what you're seeing. You get Jaden Davis, you might get those 2 4-star wide receivers that also were catching footballs for him at high school.
Yeah, and that's going to be I imagine that's going to be a huge part of his recruitment is who can get Goodwin and Ship. I think that's the other name.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Ship. Those guys, I no doubt have a good relationship and will. Yeah, no, I imagine that will be a huge part is if they can attract the other two.
And I think it's so funny because you look at Michigan recruiting and they go back-to-back Big Ten titles, back-to-back wins against Ohio State, back-to-back best seasons we've seen for Michigan football in like 2 decades. And then the 2023 class was underwhelming for a lot of people. And we've talked about this a little bit. I would not be surprised that within that Michigan program, they thought it was a phenomenal recruiting class. And we put so much weight into On3, 24/7's recruiting rankings. I would not be surprised if the Michigan player development and scouting department within that program has a completely different board. And you saw with Oklahoma. Oklahoma is like not offering one of the best running backs according to the best running back according to 24/7 because they value 2 other running backs in the class. And I wouldn't be surprised if Michigan has a completely different board and a completely different set of targets that they're going after in these recruiting classes than what 24/7 values, especially when you think of what does 24/7 sports like to do. They like to look at the traits, they like to look at the track times. Michigan just plays a little bit of a different brand than that. And so, of course, teams like Tennessee, Ohio State, Georgia, those are the teams that are going to get some of those like elite athletes at the high school level. But Michigan, I think, is doing a really good job of finding their guys that will fit into what they're trying to do. And so on 24/7, it might look like Michigan's not recruiting very well. But within that program, they might think they're bringing in phenomenal classes.
And frankly, you need a mix. You need a mix of guys who probably have a bit of a chip on their shoulder and were under recruited, like the Rod Moores of the world. And
Ronnie Bell, he's like my favorite one to just like highlight.
And that's the thing. You need the guys who are going to stay 4 or 5 years and want to be there and feel disrespected by everyone. And they feel like at times they're the culture, like the culture carriers. Like Ronnie Bell, again, you look at what he's done for his time at Michigan. He feels as important to that program as anyone. And
yeah,
that matters. But I do still, at the end of the day, like the 2021 class was really good. It had a lot of high-powered players, and those guys are making a lot of plays. Will Johnson, big-time recruit, making a lot of plays. So you do need a mix. And that's, again, why I'm kind of hoping the 2024 is maybe ranked a little higher. Like, because like the whole, I don't want to be this like the stars don't matter guy, because like obviously they do. Look at who's at the top of the recruiting rankings.
They're getting drafted.
They're at the top of the sport.
Yep.
But you do need a mix of guys who are going to come in and stay for 4, not transfer at the first moment of bad. And that's what I do think Michigan has. So I'm hoping this class again takes that a bigger step into being maybe a little bit more of a high profile, a bit more of the.
And I think it will be like when you take a look at the crystal balls that are coming in for this Michigan program. And first we'll run down some of the more visitors, then we'll take a look at what this 2024 class could be. And it's already off to a phenomenal start. But you got Jaden Davis, kind of your crown jewel coming in. Dylan Stewart, another 5-star according to 24/7, one of the best edge defenders in this class. Jordan Marshall, a running back who I think has some phenomenal track speed, and I think they're really excited. There's also another running back they're pushing on pretty good. Brady Prescorn, one of the best tight ends in the class. And then one of the guys I think I'm most high on, Blake Frazier, legacy guy. His dad was an offensive lineman for Michigan in the 1990s. He's coming in from the state of Texas. And then another guy worth mentioning, Braden Hillman, 2023 commit for Notre Dame, a top 150 dude nationally, probably will play in the secondary. He gets released from his NIL. I heard it was grades. I'm not really sure. But in an interview, he says, like, what is another program that can give me exactly what Notre Dame gave me? It's the Michigan Wolverines. And his recruitment needs to wrap up rather quickly because he's got to get enrolled and get ready to rock for 2023. On campus this weekend, I think Michigan has a phenomenal shot at landing this kid as well.
Yeah, it feels like it. And that, again, obviously Michigan's been on the wrong side of that before with a guy like Xavier Worthy, who at the final hour, whatever happened with the school and whatever else, like it didn't work out. And he ended up being at Texas, and he looks like he's going to be a first-round pick. So this would be a nice kind of like surprise addition to the 23 class. If they could do it, it would probably push him up a spot or two in the rankings. And again, that he'll come in and be right up there with the top guy in the class with Eno. Like they'll be right neck and neck for rankings wise. And again, I'm not a stars don't matter guy, so that certainly will matter.
Would be a massive pickup. Now, looking at the crystal balls so Michigan already has a top 5 national class. We'll take a look at some of the players already committed, but you're feeling really good about what this Michigan 2024 class could be. Aaron Childs coming in. A ton of crystal balls are coming in for Michigan. Brian Robinson, an edge defender from Youngstown, Ohio. He's also a guy. Michigan's hammering the state of Ohio, which is a really nice thing to see. Taylor Tatum, a top 50 player nationally at that running back position. You already have Jacob Odenin, Jaden Davis. That's obviously the biggest one. Still, that crystal ball is sticking from earlier. And then Brady Prescorn. I mean, he's an in-state kid from Michigan. He's a top 100 player nationally. This Michigan class, a lot of crystal balls are coming in. I wouldn't be surprised if you see a lot of more crystal balls coming in after this weekend. And you taking a look at this 2024 class. I mean, already 7 commits, a couple guys in the top 200. And what they've kind of filled out already is their depth of this class. I mean, you see a lot of guys who are high 4 stars, top 250 dudes nationally. Now you're trying to fill out that top tier of the class, getting some of those top-notch athletes like a guy like Jaden Davis, like a guy like Aaron Childs. And if Michigan can make that happen, you're looking at a top 5, top 8 2024 class.
Yeah, and again, it is just exciting. Again, like the on the field's really good. You want to see the recruiting pick up. It looks like it is picking up a bit and getting back to kind of where I think it should be commensurate with how good Michigan has been playing. Like it should tie in almost a little closer. That's probably
I think you're seeing that happen.
So down on 23. It's like, oh, why are we ranked so low? We're winning Big Ten titles. We're competing for national titles, etc. And not that I think it's like Michigan recruits who they recruit. It's hard. We could never know what you were saying, but it is nice to see it pick up. And you can get excited in the off season and have that's very much fun part of college football.
That's why I've got into recruiting so much, because you don't have any college football to watch. So I'm just living and dying by recruiting visits and commits. I find it a blast. I think it's also something interesting, and a lot of college football fans who are really into college football follow it because the player development and the roster building aspect of it is a really important part of the sport. And it's kind of interesting to see where Michigan is allocating most of their scholarships to, what kind of players, and where are these players from? Are they going after? So we're having a blast talking about it. We appreciate you guys for checking us out. I wanted to give you just a quick little primer for the massive Michigan recruiting weekend we're about to have. Any updates that we have, we will continue to keep you guys updated. Obviously, keeping an eye on Jaden Davis. Appreciate you guys for checking us out as usual. And if you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. We appreciate you guys, and we'll talk to y'all later.